John here for another episode of Loose Threads here on Ugly Thirds. On April 3rd, 2008, Minnesota wore one of the most unique patches, the Team of 18,000, for one game at home to celebrate their fan base. I mean, they did retire the number one at the beginning of the franchise because the fans in Minnesota will always be number one. A gimmick, I know, but a really cool patch, a really unique look at this. And so I needed this jersey, which I had one, but it was a 3X, and I'm down to a 1X, so we'll deal with this. It's a 2X, it works. You had to find a player who played that game, going through Hockey DB and figuring it out. Hockey Reference. Hockey DB is better for minor leagues. And so Mikko Koivu played in that game, but I realized he didn't wear a C yet. He wore an A. And so I'm going to see if I can take this jersey I got pretty cheap off of eBay and strip the C, buy an A and add it, and then put this patch right here to make a unique piece for my Minnesota collection. Really, what a unique patch celebrating the players and the fans. As you can see, it's almost like like a starting lineup. People with signs, people with flags. That's supposed to be State of Hockey. Doesn't really come out in the embroidery, but you can see it in the actual logo they put out. It's a very interesting piece, and can't wait to get this on. Patch is easy. It's a rectangle. This is the hard part. So I've got my seam ripper. It's a very flat Reebok thing, but we're gonna see if how well those seams come out first off. And what's underneath? How much glue am I dealing with? So that can be a warning or a sign to you as what you can do with your own jerseys. So far, this has been incredibly easy. Like getting under there, maybe that's a perk of these printed numbers, that it's just one sheet to get through. We'll see what the end result is. So far, this has been very easy, but one corner is just being an absolute bear and will not come loose. So if there's going to be any damage, it's going to be from that. Hopefully the A will cover it up, but I'm going to keep working. So Shrim's convinced me to get a steamer, a simple Black & Decker, $15. You certainly could get a whole lot bigger and better, although I don't know what steam is steam, right? I don't know. Someone explain it to me in the comments. So I'm going to work at this for a little while, and we'll see if I can get rid of this ghosting of this C here. Look, it's going to be replaced by an A. I don't have to have it be perfect, but I would certainly like it to be a whole lot less obvious. Well, I feel like that has done absolutely nothing. I'm going to put this through the wash at least once and see if that helps at all, but I am not impressed with the steam. I'm really glad I have an A to put over it. Essentially, if you got a Reebok jersey, don't just strip a letter and think it's going to be fun. So it's actually been quite a while since I last touched this project. I got the C off because we're putting on this patch, the Team of 18,000 patch, but Mikko Koivu was only an A in that game, so I had to get this ordered, and I waited until I had a whole big order of nameplates to do before I did anything like that. So I have steamed and everything else, and there's very clearly a ghost of a C there. We're going to put the A on top and hope it distracts enough. I need to stitch this together, and then stitch this on. And then, gloriously, one of my best investments, I bought a heat press. It's hot, or I'd pick it up for you. And so this is going to go very, very quickly once I have that. It feels like cheating at this point. It just makes the sewing so easy where underneath doesn't move. It's sealed to it. Really, the stitch is just to hold it on permanently. It's a breeze. So let's wrap up this project and get this one ready to go, shall we? All right, so when you get these things from Customized Sports, it's just two layers pressed together. That there's no stitching to it, and so this wheat layer will eventually come off. So you have to put that stitch down. Simple zigzag stitch all around. This has been the bread and butter of this segment. You're going to have the stitch on either side of it, and make sure you test so it looks decently like you want. Okay, so here's the great part. Well, I haven't done this on a Reebok or with a lace-up collar yet, so I'm going to remove that just to remove some variables. And I do have a Teflon pillow I could put inside here. I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to see if it works. And thanks to the ghosting of the sea, I should be able to put that in nice and easy. Really get enough light in here to be sure. It's going to go right there. And I'm also going to hope that that doesn't screw it up. So this ridge is adding a lot of lift to this. So I am going to move it, even though it's less natural, I want to make sure that this actually gets enough heat and pressure to put this down. So I am going to get in here again. And the seat's actually not as visible as I thought it was going to be. Okay. So, 280 degrees is what they tell you to do from Customized Sports. I am going to let that sit there for a second to try and level out that A. So when you sew it, it curls up a little bit. I was having that problem. But just the heat of sitting under here has left it a little more pliable. And actually, it kind of starts the glue. So, 280 degrees, 25 seconds. I'll make sure I'm not adding any extra wrinkles to this. Let's go. And I have realized that working it a bit has been helpful. Ooh, some of these things are hot. Those rivets especially are hot. And get that glue to really set. And now it just needs to be sewn on. And looking at the back, doesn't look like any damage though. You know, honestly, I like to put this. Let's try that. Let's try that right now. Can we get some of this wrinkling out using the heat press? And I don't want to make it worse with the collar and whatnot underneath here. So I'm not as worried about the name. The number is brutal. I'm going to get a bit cautious. I'm going to put some tissue paper. And this is not just store-bought Dollar Tree tissue paper. This was in the Customized Sports order, so I don't know if it's special. It might be a waxier thing. Let's try this. I'm going to leave it in, say, 15 seconds. And just see if that flattens it out and helps pull this a little bit back together. Okay, that was 15. Oh, and I am glad I used that paper. It got tacky. But, yeah. Yeah, that definitely improved how wrinkly that Reebok was. But it was a bit of a risk. And definitely used the tissue paper. Who knows what could have happened. Oh, but that A is already coming off. Okay. So I'm going to put this back in again. So I am... first, I've had that much issue with it, really. Let's try this. And I'm thinking this ridge is a big part of it. And I don't know what else I can do. Well, I mean, I suppose you try and get this in here to a point where the ridge isn't actually in the way. It just rides at the edge of the heat press, or I guess more specifically the mat, just to make sure it has enough real estate to work. And make sure there's nothing else weird underneath. All right, let's try this again. And I want to do it for the full 25. So, skipping ahead. Again, those rivets, super hot. Yeah, that's better. It's definitely better. And I'm sure that's, no, it's still coming off. There's just not good glue on this batch. So you know what? I'm going to let it sit for a minute and cool just a little. And then I'm gonna stitch it on, because what other choice do I have? But it is not going to be as easy and clean as I want it to be. All right, I got annoyed. And I'm like, no, Reebok's not going to beat me like this. So 340 is the temperature for patches. And I'm thinking maybe this is thick enough that I need patch temp. So I'm going to try it. Yeah, that looks like it did it. Okay, so Reebok needs a higher temperature. Go with the patch temp. But we'll see what the patch does. Maybe I need higher for the patch than usual. So I don't know. Yeah, it's visible. There is just a little bit of melting here that certain light's going to catch, and it's from having multiple layers here under the heat press. And then inside you can see where the rivet was landing. Now, I don't think any of these things are going to be significant, but a definite learning curve in using a heat press. It is not the magic bullet I thought it was, that's for sure. But let's finish this. Oh my God. That was not the easiest to put down. Heat press, not a magic bullet. It's certainly not a blender. I'm going to put this in, and the few pictures I can find show there's definitely parallel with the line and close to the collar. And I'm going to put this over top just to prevent any further melting. I have it at 340 for 25 seconds. Let's give this another go. Okay, well, that's definitely on. And is there more coming through? I don't know what that would be from. I mean, maybe it's the lights, but there's definitely some kind of melt going on. Looks like I'm going to have to toy with Reebok a bit before I really get into customizing these, because there's going to be some different tolerances. Either way, let's get this stitched down. All right. Should be one of the easier patches to do. So this project definitely taught me some things that, like, it involves stripping things. Is it really worth it? Like really question, is it worth it? Because it's nowhere near as easy as you think it's going to be. It never is going to be as easy as you think it's going to be. Second, heat press doesn't solve everything. It's not a panacea, and it could cause some damage, which I think we all kind of knew, but now I'm starting to see what that looks like without being bad enough to be like, oh, I can't wear this. I mean, can you even tell from there? But like, I'm sure someone who really knew, oh, a little shiny there around your collar. That's interesting. I guess I should show some close-ups, but like really, how? Either way, I have this now. Would I do it again? No, no. I'd find a blank and get it done right. Even if it is for something this silly, or I'd find a player that was just on it and not worry about this at all and just slap a patch on. That's easy. But I have learned some things when it comes to a heat press and Reebok and patches. But it's done. It's done, and we learn things. And if we just show everything all successes all the time, then are we really learning things? I'm a teacher after all. We have to show that failure is okay. And well, I did learn that you can flatten these out as long as you use a good bit of tissue paper to make sure you don't melt it. So, look, I'll take it. I got a jersey. It's certainly not going to be at the front of my collection at any point in the near future because these were the lesser version of the Coho ones that were so perfect. But it's good, and it's got a story to it now, and I like it. So, at least there's that. So, I'm John for Phil and Trems here on Loose Threads, Ugly Thirds.